Do you want to wake up feeling like you're stepping into who you're meant to be, into the best possible version of you? What if I told you that the key to your best life, health, and happiness are all around you? You just have to find what works for you. I'm Hopeful and I believe that there isn't just one way to live a healthy and meaningful life, and that all you need is a little inspiration to make changes that last from the inside out. Each week, I'll be sharing tangible tips and inspirational interviews to help you on your journey. These are the steps to take to improve your life and live with purpose. This is Hopeful and Wholesome. Hi, friends. Welcome back to another episode of Hopeful and Wholesome, another solo episode, I might add. And I know that meal planning can feel like a daunting task, especially if you're juggling a busy schedule, family, all the things, life, right? And trying to also keep up with your wellness goals, your health goals, right? And I had this idea for this episode, and I debated bringing it to y'all because I thought, well, maybe this is too elementary for the women listening to this podcast, because maybe you're past the point of like working on meal planning. But then I've had multiple conversations with people over the past, I don't know, probably last few months really. But as I got to thinking about it, these conversations where I'm talking to women who, they live a, healthy life and they do all the things, but they still struggle with meal planning when it gets to be busy, right? It's busy with, kids' school and games and work meetings and, all the activities, all the things, right? So here we are. I want to bring you this episode. The other thing I thought about too, I wanted to bring you a handful of solo episodes before the new year that's really going to help set you up for the new year, right? We all have the goals and intentions that we set for the new year. And if you think you don't set goals or intentions, you really do. A lot of them are subconscious. You may not write them down and make a big to-do about it, but you have goals and intentions. We all do. And I wanted to bring a handful of episodes that were going to kind of speak to a lot of those goals. And I know, again, even if you're not making this like a conscious, I wrote it down goal, I know that like sticking to your health plan, if I don't really know another way to say that, like not saying you have like a specific meal plan, but like sticking to your healthy eating, your nutrition, like that's important to you, right? And I know when things get busy, a lot of times it's the first thing to go by the wayside. So here's the thing. Creating a meal plan doesn't have to be complicated, doesn't have to be time consuming, it doesn't have to be super rigid, right? It's all about simplifying the process, making it work for you, right? How it works for you, and then just focusing on what your body needs. So today's episode, I want to break it down for you. I'm going to make this short, sweet, right? I'm going to make it so it gives you all the things you need to really like take it and run with it. We're going to talk about how to design a personalized meal plan that fits your lifestyle, your health goals, some quick and easy meal prep tips to help you save time during busy weeks. And if that's every week, then it's maybe time every week. And then how to balance the right macronutrients in your meals to keep your energy steady, keep your mind focused, keep your blood sugar stable, all the things. So by the end of this episode, you're really going to have some actionable steps to take with you to start meal planning and to take with you into the new year. So you don't have to worry about, what do I do when things get busy, right? Okay, so let's get started. And again, if you feel like you're beyond this and you're so past like meal planning, personalized meal plans and meal prep and all that, you might learn something. So just keep listening and you might learn something new that helps you save time, right? Okay. So first and foremost, think about your health goals, right? Are you trying to increase energy? Are you trying to lose weight? Are you trying to improve digestion? Are you trying to eat more nutrient-dense meals, right? Are you trying to eat less processed food or fast food or whatever, right? What are your goals? Because your goals are going to help guide you to the types of food you want to focus on and how you want to structure your meals. And I'm going to give you some frameworks, but I do think it's important to understand your goals. And if your goal is like, I want to eat more protein, right? Then that needs to be a focus on this framework that I'm going to give you. So first, defining your goals. Next, just kind of assess your schedule, right? Look at your week ahead, identify the busiest days when you might need a quick grab and go option versus slower days when you have time to cook at home. And if that's every day, then okay. But like assess that. Like, are there days in the week where you're like, okay, I have time to cook. I have time to, be in the kitchen to make like an actual, I say homemade meal. They're all homemade meals, but you know what I mean? Like in the moment, make a like fresh meal. Or do we need to have a quick grab and go and be ready because I'm going to be blowing and going, right? And then plan your meals accordingly. Don't be afraid to repeat recipes to save time. In the frameworks here in a second, I'm going to give you some options to kind of build in variety to that, but don't be afraid to repeat. It's really okay. And then once you kind of get into a groove of like the easiest things to cook and the easiest things to batch, then you can build in creativity. And I'm getting ahead of myself, but there's opportunities for you to build that in. So step 3 here is going to be the framework. Rather than overcomplicating it or overthinking it, just stick to a simple formula for each meal. So I'm going to give you examples. This doesn't have to be your formula, but I find that this is really a really simple way to follow. Okay. So for breakfast, think protein, healthy fat, fiber, right? Easy. Protein, healthy fat, fiber. So this could be like eggs and turkey sausage with avocado or sauteed veggies, right? It could be like a protein smoothie where you put your protein powder and whatever your healthy fat is. If you want to put avocado or a nut butter or something, putting in fiber. So maybe it's frozen cauliflower, or it's frozen fruit, or it's sweet potatoes. That's an easy one to put in there too, right? So protein, healthy fat, fiber. Easy. Breakfast, done. Lunch, think protein, veggies, healthy carb. So examples, something like grilled salmon or grilled chicken with roasted veggies and quinoa. Easy, that's it. Protein, veggies, healthy carb. Okay. Dinner, protein, veggies, healthy fat, right? So maybe it's baked salmon with asparagus with a drizzle of olive oil, like a salad with oil and vinegar, whatever dressing you use. Your dressing is going to count as your healthy fat, right? Or it's a steak with broccoli and maybe you've drizzled. I feel like olive oil is such an easy fat to add to it, right? Or something, adding in avocado, or adding in maybe it's like a pecan crusted whatever, right? Protein, veggies, healthy fat. So again, it doesn't have to look like that. And if you want to include a healthy carb at each one, healthy fiber, then that's it. It's protein, veggies, healthy fiber. Healthy carb, fiber, same thing in my opinion. So you can use that as your framework, right? If it's protein, veggie, fiber. Protein, veggie, healthy carb, right? But find a framework that works for you. And then the 4th step that goes along with this is incorporating variety. So choose a couple breakfast options, a few lunch options, a few dinner options, and then rotate ingredients to make it so you don't get bored, right? So think like swapping chicken for shrimp or salmon or tofu, right? Swapping quinoa for sweet potatoes or regular potatoes or wild rice, right? Swapping out your veggies so this is where I was talking about, where bringing in variety it makes it, because I do know that that's something I hear a lot from women where they're like, sticking to a meal plan or whatever, like meal prepping is fine, but then I get bored and then I don't want to eat the same thing. And then I resort to just opening a bag of chips and eating the whole bag of chips there standing at the counter or, getting fast food or whatever, right? Making maybe less than healthier choices than you would if you would have eaten what you have prepared. So if you can incorporate some variety by swapping out different proteins, different seasonings, different veggies, different carbs, like all of that is going to make a difference so that you don't get your taste buds don't get tired of eating the same thing all the time. But I will say, some people really like eating the same thing all the time. And not to go too far down a rabbit hole here, but I did a series of episodes a while back about wellness and nutrition for your human design type. And I find that projectors, if you're a projector, eating the same thing all the time actually serves your energy type really well. So just keep that in mind, that some people do really well eating the same thing all the time, some people don't. Okay, the last step here, step number 5, is making a list. I know that sounds like, okay, duh. But here's the thing. How often have you gone to the grocery store because you're like, pantry's empty, the fridge is empty, I need to get food. And then you go in without a plan and you've bought like 28 different random things. You're like, what do I do with this, right? You don't want to have to be on an episode of Chopped when it comes time to cook dinner. Like, that's the worst feeling. Like, what do I do with all these ingredients? How do I make it work? Make a list, organize it. If it's easier for you, organize it by category. So have, category for I would say protein, produce. Well, yeah, and protein. So I was thinking, fresh produce or frozen, whatever. Produce, veggies. No, let me back up. Produce, protein, and then pantry stuff, pantry items, right? This saves time at the store. It's going to make sure you're prepared. And so, like I said, you don't end up feeling like you're on an episode of Chopped trying to put 6-8 different ingredients together to make it, somewhat palatable. So have a plan, make a grocery list, and that's going to help you stick to the plan, right? And have healthy meals ready to go. So let's talk about actual meal prep, the actual prep. Because prepping ahead is really key to staying consistent, especially when life gets busy and your weeks get busy, right? So here are some tips. First, batch cook your staples. Pick a day like a Sunday. I know is an easy day for a lot of people to cook big batches of staples like roasted veggies, grilled chicken, or beef, or tofu, or whatever, quinoa, beans. Like all those things are so easy to cook, like batch cook. Store them in airtight containers, preferably glass containers, and then you're ready. You're ready to mix and match during the week, right? You have different proteins, you have some different veggies, you have some different carbs and fiber, and you can mix and match during the week. Second, prep your ingredients, not just your meals. So, for example, and I know this helps me out a lot, chopping veggies, washing your greens, washing your fruit, portioning out snacks like berries or, nuts or whatever it is that you're snacking on. This can make it really easy. And I will say this really does make it easier for me, like chopping. And I know I resisted for so long because a lot of times, like I go, get the groceries. I used to do like the curbside, right? Get the groceries, I get home and I'm like, oh, I got to get them out and I have to go do whatever the next thing is, whether like back to work, or I have to get on a call or whatever. But for me, I've been like baking in the time, like when I get home from picking up the groceries to wash the stuff, right? Cut the carrots, if that's what it is, like washing the greens, like all that stuff and having that done because it really does save time during the week. And then it's just one like a less excuse you'll make for yourself when it's like, oh, well, the food isn't chopped or whatever. Okay. Tip number 3, use your freezer. Use your freezer. It's so easy. You can double recipes for like soups and casseroles or stews, things like that. You can double it and then half it and then freeze half of it. Really and truly, your freezer is such a lifesaver for busy nights when you don't have time to cook. Like whip it out of the freezer, warm it back up, unthaw it, and it's done, right? Or, set it out on the counter before you leave for work, and then it has all day to unthaw, and then you can cook, right? Finish cooking it when you get home. Use your freezer. The other thing too, I'll say, which kind of goes along with this, is using things like what am I trying to say? Like a crock pot, right? The crock pot or your air fryer, like those things are so crucial and just speeding things up or just making it easy. Like you can throw everything in a crock pot or slow cooker, whatever you want to call it. And then it cooks throughout the day and you get home and it's ready, right? Okay, number 4, investing in containers. This should probably be number 1. I probably should have said this first. But using containers, like again, like preferably glass containers, so we're not using as much plastic, but glass container or even little like bento boxes, right? These can be really crucial. Or they have those little silicone ones now, which are cool. Like they look like little sectioned off plates with lids on them, little silicone. Those are cool too. This is really crucial. Like it makes it so easy to prep your meals and ingredients, and seeing everything organized in your fridge really does make it easier. And the other reason I like glass too is because you can see what's in it. You can see, because how many times have you put the leftovers in? It's a container, you can't see it. And then like 3 weeks later, you're like, what's that growing fuzzy white stuff on top of it that's in the back of the fridge? You have no idea it's in there, right? So if you can see it, a lot of times it's easier to be like, oh, I need to eat this before, right? Okay, and then last is plan for leftovers. Cook once, eat twice, right? That's something you've probably heard before. It's a good motto here, but making extra portions for dinner, repurposing them for lunch the next day, eating leftovers, right? And even like repurposing it to make something totally different, right? You had baked salmon or roasted chicken one night. The next day, put it on a salad, right? Make it into a sandwich or something. You can turn into like a taco. You can easily repurpose and make it into something different. So you're not really eating the same thing, but you're still kind of eating the same thing, So remember that meal prep doesn't have to mean cooking full meals in advance. Because I know sometimes that can be daunting too for people, but they're like, crap, I have to sit here and cook like, all these things on Sunday, like all this, like that's a lot. You don't have to cook all of it. It's just being prepared, having things prepped. It's about making your healthy choices more convenient. So how can you make it more convenient? How can you make it easier to make those healthy choices, right? So last here, I want to talk about macronutrients for just a second. Macronutrients being protein, fat, and carbs, and how to balance them to support your health, support your energy, support your blood sugar, your hormones, all of those important things. So we want to include, no, here, I'm gonna talk about more than just protein, carbs, and fat here, because some of these are going to fall into multiple categories. But I'm going to break this down into kind of 4 separate areas, if you will. And you just want to make sure you're including all of these every day. Protein obviously is crucial. It's essential for muscle repair, for metabolism, keeping you full, keeping you satiated, right? Including a source of protein in every single meal is going to be critical, especially y'all. I've had this conversation before on the podcast. You've heard me get in my soapbox about it, especially as we get into perimenopause, closer to those perimenopause years. I mean, really and truly, after the age of like 30, 35, because we start to lose muscle. We lose muscle with every decade of life. And as women, it's even more crucial because we're also losing estrogen, which makes it harder to hold on to muscle. It's just kind of get the double-edged sword here. So protein is going to be crucial. A good guideline is getting at least 20. For me, 20 is a little bit on the low end, but we can start with 20 to 40 grams of protein every time you eat, right? Every meal. That's going to be crucial. And that's going to ensure that you're getting that good, like minimum number to keep blood sugar stable, to hold on to muscle, healthy hormones, all that. Next, let's talk about healthy fats. Now, fats, I think we all know by now that we need fat. Like I think we're past the trend in the 90s where it's like the low fat trend and everything was low fat, right? Remember SnackWells? Anybody? So the healthy fats, I think we know by now that we need fats. Your body needs fat to function. Your brain needs fat to function, right? So fats also provide lasting energy, long lasting energy, and help your body absorb fat soluble vitamins. That's the other risk you take of eating too little fat is you're not able to absorb the fat soluble vitamins like vitamin D, E, right? A, K, those are all the ones we need fat to be able to absorb those. So include things like avocados, nuts, seeds, olive oil, fatty fish like salmon, and aim to get at least a couple servings a day, right? And this, it's going to vary for everybody. I don't want to give like blatant, exact, like portions of all of this for everybody because it's going to differ. The protein thing I can feel like that one I can speak in generalities, and 20 to 40, which is quite a range, but that's a good range to go for. Healthy batches incorporating at least a couple servings of that a day typically is going to put you in the right place. Now let's talk about carbs. Carbs are your body's main source of fuel, but it's important to choose the right kinds so that we're not like sending our blood sugar all over the place all day, right? Focusing on complex carbs like sweet potatoes, quinoa, brown rice, wild rice, it's a tongue twister, fresh fruit. All of these are going to be great sources of fiber, right? Fiber is crucial. And that's, again, as we age and as we get into that like perimenopause, menopause state of life, fiber is going to be crucial because fiber is going to help keep you regular. It's going to help you detox excess hormones because that's how we detox excess hormones. You poop them out. And which I find interesting that we don't all know that. I think I might have mentioned this on another episode, but I posted something. This was a while back. This was, I don't know, months back. And this person wanted to argue with me on social media about how you excrete excess hormones, that it wasn't through pooping. And it's like, and she like wanted me to quote studies. I'm like, okay, here's the studies that show this is how you excrete excess hormones. So anyway, I'm not laughing if you don't know that. I'm just laughing that like the things that people decide they want to argue about. But my point is, this is important. It's important for us to know because, and let me tell you this, I've had multiple clients at this point that deal with constipation. That's like the main side effect, I guess. Side effect of the constipation is their hormones are completely out of whack, right? Excess estrogen is a big one. Excess estrogen, a lot of times constipation, excess estrogen go hand in hand, and you can't excrete excess hormones. So it's just recirculating that and toxins recirculating back in the body. So all of that to say the fiber is important. And that's why the complex carbs are important because all those things that I mentioned, like sweet potatoes, quinoa, brown rice, wild rice, fruit, all of those are good sources of fiber. It's going to help keep you full. It's going to help energize you. It's going to help keep you regular. And it's going to help with stable blood sugar. Okay. So pairing your carbs with your protein, or like the glucose goddess says, she says to dress your carbs, and basically means don't eat carbs by themselves, right? This helps with, again, the stable blood sugar conversation, helps you avoid energy crashes. So if you're going to, when you eat carbs, just make sure you're eating them with either a fat or a protein or both. That's fine too, but just not by themselves. And that's going to help with blood sugar stabilization. Last is vegetables. And yes, this goes along with carbs because veggies are, carbs. They're starchy and non-starchy, right? But veggies are important, which same reason I talked about the carbs, right? It's the fiber. Veggies are packed with fiber, vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, right? All these really important things. And so it's really important to include veggies. And I mean, if not all of your meals of the day, at least most of the meals, right? Aiming to fill like half of your plate with non-starchy vegetables like leafy greens or broccoli, zucchini, right? Zucchini, squash, bell peppers, right? Those can be really helpful. And then the starchy vegetables that would go under the carbohydrate category that I was just talking about. But the veggies, when I'm talking about veggies, I'm specifically talking about the non-starchy veggies, and we really need those. It's also going to help. It's still like that bulk of the fiber that's going to help keep you regular, keep you full, satiated, all that. So by balancing your macronutrients, you're going to feel more energized, but you're also going to help avoid things like cravings and energy crashes and midday slumps and those things that a lot of times when they happen, we turn to the not so healthy things to eat, right? Because we're just like either famished or like ravaged, and we just like blah, or like a raccoon at the pantry, just blah, 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 eating all the things, right? So that's it, right? I want to keep this simple for you. Simple steps to create a meal plan that supports your health goals. So you start with that personalized framework, right? Based on your schedule, based on your health priorities, and you want to use that framework that I mentioned. Choose, you can adjust what I mentioned, but I think the one that I mentioned is pretty easy to stick to for your breakfast, your lunch, and your dinner, and even your snacks, right? So stick to the framework. Use the meal prep tips that I gave you to help make healthier choices during your busy weeks. If that's all week, then that's all week. And then balance your macronutrients for energy, focus, stable blood sugar, and really just overall well-being, right? It's just for well-being of your entire body. So it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be a chore. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be rigid, right? I wanted to mention part of this as ways to build flexibility into it, because I think sometimes people steer away from the whole like meal prep, meal planning thing, is they don't want to feel like they're being put into a box and it feels too rigid, but there's room for creativity and flexibility here and variety. That's important. It's important to eat a varied diet. It's really just about creating a system that works for you and makes eating healthy, making healthier choices feel more manageable and more enjoyable, right? So I hope this is helpful for you, and I hope that you can take this with you into the new year and start to build on it and be able to use this as just one less thing to have to worry about. Because I do know that can happen too, is you want to make healthy choices, right? You want to make the healthy decisions and stick to your healthy diet, and you feel like your busy schedule sometimes holds you back from that. So it's one less thing to have to worry about, one less thing you have to think about. And I think this can really set you up to maintain those goals and intentions you have in 2025. So as always, if this episode helped you, share it with a friend who might need some meal planning inspiration, or maybe they just need a pep talk to get back on track. And this is pretty easy framework to follow. And of course, if it helps you, I would love to hear from you. So if you want to send me a message on the gram or email, I'd love to hear your feedback. And I'll see y'all in the next episode. Thanks for listening to Hopeful and Wholesome, y'all. If you found value in this week's episode, please subscribe on iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcast and leave a review to let me know what you thought. I'd love to know what you find useful in these episodes so I can know how to provide the most value I can to my listeners. And if you have topics you'd like to know more about, I'd love to hear those as well. So shoot me a message on Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn. It's @TheHopePedraza, or you can visit my website, hopefulandwholesome.com. Thanks, y'all.